Hello, hello. What's up? What's up? It is a new day, it is a new week, and it's time to get social. My name is Kayvana, and welcome to the Introvert's Social Hour. Hello, hello, hello. Happy 2024. Happy New Year. I know at this point we're already in February, but it's been a minute since I've talked to y'all, since you've heard from me in podcast terms. So welcome back. If you don't know, my name is Kayvana. This is the Introvert Social Hour. And I'm super excited to just kind of go in this first episode. It is just me today. We're going to talk one on one. I'm going to be talking to you whether you're listening to me in your car. If you're listening to me while you're getting ready in the morning, I know that's a time when I love to listen to a little podcast or two. So we're just going to catch up because, even though it's end of February and we're going to March, there's a lot that has happened and we got to talk about it. Okay. So first off, we're going to go with the fact that one, January came through. January did not come through fast, though. January was very slow. And I saw on the internet a lot of people agreed with me in that. They were also feeling the same way. January just moved really, really slow. And we're going to talk about all the things that happened in January that probably made it feel that way. Not every single thing, but some stuff. And then in February just moved really fast. January, I had my resolutions, my plans, my goals. I was on a pretty decent start. I had some edits and plans to make for February. February just kind of slipped through my fingers. So we're going to try again in March, and that's okay. I don't know. You let me know if you feel the same way. But yeah, February went by a little too fast. A little bit disrespectful considering it's Black History Month, but we move on because you should be celebrating every month. But yeah, man. So that tends to happen a lot because now I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 2024 gonna like go by fast. I mean, we've got a lot of things to worry about in regards to 2024. Um, we're off to an interesting start, but we just gotta see. We just gotta see. We're gonna March. Hopefully it doesn't go by too slow, but necessarily too fast. Like we need a good medium somewhere. But before we really get into like what has been going on with life, I did want to talk about in general, like, I hope your goals are going well. If you make resolutions, if that's your thing. I, if you know, I make bingo sheets. I make life bingo sheets. And so I've been on a slow track. I realize I've made some mistakes and I don't know if it's cheating if I edit my errors now. I've made a few bingo squares that are a little bit money spent heavy, but then I'm also trying to save money. So I need to figure out what that balance looks like and what's fairly being replaced and not just because it's more reachable and attainable. But yeah, your girl needs another job. Like at this point, everything's getting so expensive. I need about two or three. So help me out. Share this podcast, comment, like, rate 5 stars. And then also go ahead and go to my shop, Creative K Moods. I sell stickers, stationery, etc. And there's also something else coming down the line. Wink, wink. So just stay tuned and look out for that. Okay. But I hope everything's going well for you and I hope everything's going smoothly. I know the world is kind of interesting right now, for lack of a better word. I try to keep things a little bit more on the positive end of the idea of hope and looking for something better in the future, but it's definitely interesting. I feel like every year the economy gets worse and just things are just like help. That's what it feels like at this point. And it just I know I'm not the only one because I have these conversations with my friends and my family. It's just like, Oprah, I'm gonna need you to share some of your wealth at this point. Just spread it. Just spread a little bit. A couple of thousand is gonna hurt you. It's like 25 cents. But we move on. So we had January. January was off to a real interesting start with the first week alone. And if you are online, like I am, which is a problem in itself, and at some point I would like to have a break, but in a way it also just it's kind of necessary for what I do and my job and just things staying up, and that's a whole other conversation. But January alone, was a lot. And when I say alone, the first week alone, I feel like is when so many things happen. First off, we had an emergency door fly off of an Alaska Airlines plane at 16,000 feet in the air. What? We'll talk about that. We also had Cat Williams talk on Club Shay Shay and drop and name drop so many people. So many people. And that was the most unexpected thing to happen in the first week of January alone. Like we just started 2024. I thought that was so interesting. And then we also had a man jump across. What are those things called? It's just a desk. I'm just call it a desk. I think it has a specific name though. A man jump across the desk and attack a judge, which I thought was entirely crazy. Um, and then we also had I got to talk about her because I love her, a fan. We had Halle Bailey announce that she did have her child. A lot of people be like, oh, I knew, like we know. But I'm glad that she finally felt comfortable to share with the world. She didn't have to, but yeah, she's a shot. Look at that. So Little Mermaid too. It's Ariel's a mom, Hallie's a mom. We can see it happening. I'm just saying. So let's talk about this emergency door first. It wasn't the first thing that technically happened of that week, but I just want to say this: if I'm sitting on a plane, I don't care where in the plane, but we're going to talk about the person who was actually right next to it, not directly, but he was in that like side seat. He wasn't. Luckily, there was nobody in the window seat in the middle seat. Cause what? But anywhere on the plane, you're telling me I see, I hear. Don't know how big the plane was, but you're telling me the door flew off. What? I'm going to need so much therapy to be able to get back on a plane again. And from my knowledge, they did not compensate a lot. I definitely see them possibly getting those lawsuits in the future, but if they haven't hit already, I'm not sure. But that was pretty wild for me because I just can't even imagine like having that happen to you and then having to step back on a plane again because obviously they didn't get to their destination. Um, and then it's a no for me. I've been lucky enough and I'm truly grateful for the fact that I haven't had to deal with any intense plane situations. Um, Turbulence is the one thing, and luckily enough, turbulence doesn't terrify me too much. Depending on what kind or what level it is, but a whole entire door falling off and tapping back into the guy who was in that row. But luckily enough, the two people who were supposed to be in that window and middle seat, they were not there on that flight. They missed it. But the guy, like, first of all, I hope you're good. Second of all, the amount of like calmness that it would have to take to like not freak out of the fact that there's a whole entire gap and you could just look down at the town, the city below, and don't even get me started on, I can't even imagine the biggest fear. I'm trying to process this because I'm like even thinking about it. I'm like freaking out. Me and water don't get along. I can't even imagine being that guy in the seat and even being like, I don't think they were. But even like being above like an ocean, tears, absolute tears. So that was wild to me. I didn't even think that was a thing that can happen. And the fact that it was an emergency door, that also I just never processed the fact that those existed on like cuz they're very subtle doors, like they're drilled in. But yeah, so now, I'm just going to be very aware. Not like I do very much, but apparently that type of Boeing airplane, they're like, hey, we're not flying them right now, which is what Boeing should have done. I think it's like Boeing Max 9s or whatever. And yeah, so Boeing, you gotta get your stuff together because it was getting a little shaky. And also recently, has nothing to do specifically with Boeing. It was another airplane situation though. But this one was some maggots fell on a lady recently in the past like 2 weeks or so. I didn't look more into it. If you know, let me know. I heard about it. My mom told me about it too. And I was like, where did the maggots come from? That's what I wanted to know. Where did the maggots come from? Um, and ew. I'm just like, what? I There's a lot of questions there, and I think because I was so grossed out, I just didn't want to look into it further. So that's like a little random note. If you know what happened, please, like, yeah, let's have a convo. What, like, I could look it up. I understand. I acknowledge that. I just don't. I don't want to. You know. It just give me a quick little 5-second response. I don't even want the full breakdown because I could start throwing up. It's just not it. But sorry to the people who got maggots dropped on them. Also a terrifying experience. Um, yeah, people need to keep their, like, I feel like once like COVID became a the country and the world was so quick to like let COVID go, even though it's still very much present and existent in this world. Um, because they were so quick to like just let it go, all of these cleaning policies that they had when COVID happened, because there were times when I still flew during 2020, 2021. They let them go so fast. Like, it's very obvious that they don't wipe down what they're supposed to. Um, I've seen like really intense, like crummy floors and things like that in airplanes. So I don't know. That's just kind of important. That was my little side note. Um, because I'm all about, like, I wipe down my table and stuff. I bring my little wipes and stuff with me when I travel, but I feel like it should be a standard. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, I think they're supposed to. I don't think they do though. Moving on. And then we had Cat Williams, the comedian, if you know Cat Williams, and he was on Club Shay Shay, and there were so many moments. Just alone, the memeing of the world. I love how quick people are ready to put out gifs and memes still to this day, and how long they last in the internet world of the social medias of it all. The memes that came out of it alone, solid. Um, he had a lot to say. He kind of came in, jumped in, and was ready to go. Shay Shay didn't even need to ask any questions, really. Those first chunk of minutes, it was just Cat saying what was on his mind. You could tell he had been holding that in for a long time. He said, "It's January. We're going in strong." Um, some people that he talked about did respond, like Ludacris. Ludacris had responded with a rap. I mean, some people are like, what? But I guess it was like, well, Luda's a rapper. I guess, that makes sense. Some people, who else responded? Some people kept quiet, though. Some people kept quiet, which, tends to be the way to go, apparently, because um, people kind of move on. You kind of bring it back up when you talk about it, but I'm not a publicist, so I don't know. But it was very interesting. All the things he had to say, you should definitely go watch it. I just wanted to bring it up that I did watch it. It is 2 hours and some change, but I can tell you this: I was never bored. It's like watching. It's like listening to like a 2.5 hour podcast, right? So I'm cleaning, I'm doing the dishes while I'm listening to it. So it was as the social world is, it is entertaining. Um, and it was genius on his part because then he was going on tour, so people were definitely buying tickets. I have no doubt that his ticket sales spiked when that interview came out. It was, quite frankly, perfect timing. I always get interested by that, just like how the world of celebrity works, and the publicity and sales and numbers and marketing. So he did his job there. He got people talking about him if they had forgotten about him. And he got people talking about other people and the things that they probably don't shine in, opposed to, how he kind of his comedic side shined. You had things like, you got to tell him no. You had things like, what do you say to Shay Shay? You have an allegiance, something like, you have an allegiance to losers. But it was like really intelligently spoken. It was way better than what I just said. I can't remember the exact terms, and I was like, wow, that that's beautiful. And I saw the way the internet spun that. They were using it like how you, you tell your girlfriends, like, hey, the guy you're chosen, that's not it. You have an allegiance to losers. That is unlike you, something like that. So I loved every minute of it. I was in. Whether whatever he said was a fib or not, I was just here to watch, and the whole world was for that chunk of time, for that first week of January. It was a lot happening. And then on top of that, it was like within the same day, I feel like, then we see the man jump over and beat the judge up, which is really intense, by the way, because from my recollection, he was there for being someone who was an aggressor. That was in relation to his charges. He didn't like what she had to say. He kind of just ran. My thing is, here's my main thing. I think that we should only be hiring security guards who can actually do their job. And what I mean by that is, sorry to the people in the room, but also not, because you let that man run all the way over to her, jump across the desk, and still have the time to put his hands on her, punch her up. And there were other people who had to come in because you were not as helpful. So I just think that that's important. In all spaces, not just in courtrooms. I've just noticed that. I always think, I don't know about y'all, but I always think sometimes, like, when you see like security guards, I'm like, would they actually be able to do anything if, something really did go down? Or are they just there to have a security guard suit and kind of just vibe? It reminds me of, like, if anyone's ever watched like Friday After Next, they're like top flight security of the world, like, like they weren't really doing much. So I think that's the only thing. So that was really unfortunate, but luckily enough, she was fine. She was real bold and was back in the courtroom the next week. She said, I would like him to come back so I could finish his sentence. She did that. And, go off to her. I was like, oh, she said, return. And yep, she gave him what she was going to give him before. And then on top of that, yeah, they had enough guards there that day though. And he had a muzzle on and stuff. That was wild. But um yeah, that first week alone, as I keep saying, was bam 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 bam, event. And I'm not even talking about everything that happened, because there's also just things happening in the world that are consistent. But yeah, it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. I do want to give like some fun shout outs. Halle Bailey, once again. I think it's so cute, and she's a mom. I love that for her. And then Ariana Grande dropped her first song in a lot of years. I'm so glad she's back. Yes, and that's gonna be kind of like my life anthem for the year, until I have some other ones, some hype ones. I do have another one. I'm gonna wait to mention hers though. I need some hype songs to like get me through get me through the year. Yes, and is one of them. And then we got Hiss by Meg Thee Stallion. I'm not gonna talk too deep about all that. I don't want nobody to come for me. But I will say this: Hiss did what it needed to do. I'm 100% convinced that Megan has a visual album. It connects so well with Cobra, and it ties in so well. Like, you see the transition in from Cobra, the music video, into Hiss, and I'm so excited to see what she comes up with. I'm also like really excited for the fact that she was able to get all of these deals while still being an independent artist. So she's fully in control of her work, and that's something really beautiful to see, because that is something that musicians and artists talk about now, of like not being able to be in control of their work. One random side note with that is, I would love to see songwriters get more credit for their songs, because that is a thing that they barely get their monies and their dues, when other artists are singing their written work, and I think they should be getting more credit there too. Um, but back to Meg though, once again, she did what she needed to do. She dropped no names, but apparently some names were felt that were dropped. But the results of that I don't think went very well. You know, um, you know, Meg handled that very smoothly. Didn't even address it. Not too much. She got on live at some point, but it was very calm, collected. I love her. She's classy to me. Keeps it cute. She don't need to respond to nothing. She's been through a lot at this point. I think she's gone through some growth where she feels like she doesn't need to, and I love that for her. But his is another one for me of as like, ooh, play it, vibes. I'm feeling strong. Let me go to this interview or something. Let me go to this audition. Like that's gonna be that song for me, for this year as well. So those are my two like hype bops. That's kind of what I call them. I got to figure out a name for the playlist. I have one that I used to use in college. I used to always play a song to like get me ready for a test, but I need like some consistent ones for a playlist for my current life now because college life is nowhere near the same. And then also I did want to talk about some other things that happened in January. So we had Oscar noms. Here's what I'm gonna say. First of all, I'm glad that Danielle is nominated. I'm so excited for her. I've watched her since Orange is the New Black, and I think it's always so fun to see artists in general, not even just actors, trajectory of their career. And the way that that happened is also so beautiful to see, because it was through an open door of her friend. I can't think of his name right now. I'm so sorry. But he got his role in The Color Purple. Was like, I'm doing it, but I'm doing it with her. Like I'm not doing it without her. This is her. This is your person. And they got to act together, and now she's nominated, and I think that's so cool. Um, so that's a beautiful thing to see because sometimes it does seem like not, and I know it's not always like this, but in regards to the world of entertainment, it can sometimes look like it's like you're on your own. I'm leveling up on my own, and I'm not pulling you with me. Low key gatekeep, kind of thing, but in like an art and entertainment artistry world of it all, which is something back to Cat Williams that he did talk about. Um, but I have always loved the idea of pulling people up with you as you grow and as you experience. And so I'm really, really happy that she's gotten that moment. And I really also hope that people start to see her and understand her and put her in stuff. Like people are sleeping on her. I feel like she'd definitely be getting more roles, um, than she's been getting. So I'm excited for that moment. Um, and then in relation to Oscars, I do want to note that Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig were not nominated for their roles, specifically for Best Director for Greta and Best Actress for Margot, which is very interesting considering that was the biggest movie of 2023. Um, Ryan Gosling was nominated. I understand, though, in Ryan's situation, Ryan knows, like, I appreciate that he's like, yeah, this is happening and I don't think it's cool. Instead of like sitting on the sidelines letting it happen, he's acknowledging it. Um, and it's just very interesting the way the world works. Because you could make the biggest movie of 2023, and not even the biggest movie of 2023, like it hit charts, um, um, throughout time, and for it to do such big numbers and to still not even get nominated at the Oscars was very surprising to me, especially considering Best Director for Greta. That movie has so many intricate parts, um, and so many layers, in its choices. So that was really incredibly surprising to me. And then Margot, leading lady, like the scene alone when "What Was I Made For" starts playing, and she's staring at the older woman. Oh, tears! Like, come on now. So I just feel like, I don't know if they were like, well, we don't want to give Barbie movie too many noms. Like, no, give them what they're getting recognized for. Like, I love that America Ferrera got nominated. I love that Ryan Gosling got nominated. But I think that if other people deserve it as well, don't just be like, oh, well, they got too many. Like the I watch these awards and get I root for my peoples, the people that I love and stuff. But at the same time, like, let's be for real here that these award shows are so framed and they're so it seems very much like if we like you, you're in, or it's about numbers, and it's a lot of puzzle pieces that don't need to be puzzled. It's either it was good or it wasn't. um, we've seen that time and time again. I with oh my god, Jamie Lee Curtis. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I really do. Hey Jamie, I love Jamie, but Jamie Lee Curtis compared to um we had Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett did the thing. We had Angela Bassett also nominated. And then Stephanie, I believe is her name. Or did she go by Steph? No, Stephanie. Um, she was also nominated for the same movie, of course. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's Everything Everywhere All at Once. Um, and all I want to say is Stephanie should have won if it wasn't Angela. Um, Jamie won, and it had been talked about a lot already last year, and now like they gave it to her probably because Jamie was due for one for some years. There were times that she should have won previously that she didn't win, so they were finally giving her that. But that's the puzzle piecing that we don't need, So then, if she should have won one previous years, you should have gave it to her then. But I don't know what all the structuring is, so I'm preparing myself for the Oscars this year. They're already off to a rough start with their nominations. So we shall see. We shall see. Last thing for January, we had Elmo, our home skilly biscuit Elmo. And Elmo just came on the internet, just want to see how everyone was doing. And unfortunately, everybody dumped their emotions and their sorrows onto him. And I say dumped in a sense of because it was so many people, it was so overwhelming, but everyone was 100% valid in their responses because I too feel the same. I just didn't want to respond to Elmo because he had so many messages on his plate. But good to know that the state of the world, I'm feeling it just like everybody else is feeling it. It's not just me. Things are expensive. Uh, Jobs are hard to find. Things are not getting cheaper. In addition to them being more expensive, food is more expensive. And then on top of that, we're just supposed to keep running and keep going. And, US is like, we're fine, we're chilling, things are getting better. And it's like, I would love for you to live the life that we live. You are not a regular human being. So yeah, I get it. Poor Elmo though. And then he had his birthday um, a week or so after, or a few days after. I just would like to know. I would like to know how Elmo, how Elmo grows. So obviously he does not grow the same as humans. It's obviously not in dog years, or else he'd be older than that as well. What are Elmo growth years? I would love to know that because apparently he turned like 3 and some change. um, so I would love to know how what are we calculating here? Like 1 year for Elmo is like 15 years for us or something. I'm just throwing numbers out there, but he's been around for a long time. He has. So I would like to know because him being not in the double digits is so interesting to me. I get why he's not in the double digits. I just I need statistical evidence at this point. Like, how does he? I just want to know, how does he grow? What are his Elmo years? And then on top of that, are these not just Elmo years? Are these Sesame Street years? Because then we need to know how everybody's aging, and the math has got to math. I need a chart. Maybe I'll make one. I don't know. It's not that deep, but I would love to get a chart or something. So Sesame Street, please let a girl know. I'm just curious. But that was the January of it all, and then we go into February. Um, so mind you, I'm recording this February 2020. Oh my gosh. Of course, February 2024. But February 23rd, 2024. Who's to say what's going to happen in these last few days? So if I miss it, just know it's because I recorded this February 23rd. But I wouldn't be surprised. There's so many things that have happened within the span of a week um, that kind of flip the shape of things. But we had the Grammys, as I talked about in connection with the award shows. A lot of interesting things happened there. Um, SZA did not win for SOS. Taylor won again. I actually, because it started talk, I was not aware that Taylor had won Album of the Year 4 times. Now I'm aware of Taylor's albums. I do listen to Taylor's music. Not like I'm not a Swiftie, but I do enjoy her work when I listen to it, depending on what it is. I have to like the song or like the vibe. I don't really. It's usually not a clean sweep for me, which is fine. It doesn't have to be for any kind of album. But I had to think like, what albums did she win album of the year for? Like, I could understand like, um, I know 1989 was a big hit. I know, not her first one. Oh my gosh, what was it like? Love Story. Is that the actual title of the album? That was a big hit. Um, I found out Folklore won, and I was actually surprised about that. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, there were some songs on Folklore I enjoyed, but as an album, I didn't agree with that choice. Um, to be fair, I liked Midnight's. I did. Um, was it a clean sweep for me? No. I actually was so interesting. The songs that popped off commercially for Midnight's are not my favorites. I can let go of Antihero and I can let go of Karma. I'm a girl who I loved like the R&B vibe of some of the ones. So like I love Lavender Haze, Maroon, so good. Um, I did like appreciate the slow ones like Snow on the Beach, things like that. But it wasn't a clean sweep either. So I don't know. But SZA was on the charts all of 2023. Um, like top charts, like number one consistently for a good chunk of time. So that's just something to consider. I don't know. I also don't appreciate with the Grammys that rap, hip hop, and R&B are not as televised as they should be. A lot of the awards won by black artists were won post show, not post show, oh my gosh, pre show, before it was televised. We did get to see Victoria Monet win. Yes, I've been with her since Jaguar One, and I'm so excited for her. Go run up Jaguar One because I really do think she should have been getting hyped up since then. So if you have not listened to Jaguar One, go listen to that as you also enjoy Jaguar Two. Blend the two together. It's a beautiful piece of work, the two of them together. We got to see Coco Jones win, but we didn't get to see her win on stage. So that's the thing. I'm pretty sure she appreciates it nonetheless. But these are just things to think about. And then we got to see SZA win on stage. Everything else though was pretty like it was pre-done. But Jay-Z mentions that this when he is on stage and he gets his specific award. When he talked about it, I said, "Ooh, oh, he's talking about it." He was mentioning it. He was like, "Some of y'all shouldn't have been nominated." He said, "Some of y'all should have. We get it. It's different. But y'all need to fix this, Grammys." And it's true. It's true. And the matter of are they going to fix it is very because at the end of the day, as we have seen, or as I have seen, I don't know. You tell me if you've seen it too. As I've grown up, things are very structured, and the I don't know the word I can't think of, like not pre-done. There's a better word for that, but um it's to appease whoever is at the top. And I don't know who those people are. Um, my brain is always thinking they're people with money who are not necessarily celebrities, but they have enough power because they have enough money. Um, and yeah, I just think that we're in a time period where things should change. That's all. So next year, I would love to see all R&B win their slots on stage during the televised program. I love to see rap win their stuff on stage during the televised program, and we go from there. But we shall see in the future. We definitely shall see. Moving on, we had the Super Bowl. Another thing that could possibly be rigged. No, you tell me. Um, I'm a Bay Area girl, so I was rooting for the Niners. I'm not a hater, but I am personally tired of seeing the Kansas City Chiefs. Personally, that's all. We've seen them a lot. That's good that they're here, they're present, they're winning, you know. But I would love to see some different players at the Super Bowl. I'm not a football girl. But will I be at the Super Bowl? Yes, I will. That is the only time I watch football. And I'm there 95% for the halftime show, but I'm a watch. So I know, when the halftime show's coming. And then I'm going to finish it out because at this point I've started. I pretty much understand the gist of football. There's some things I don't understand, but for the most part, I get it. I used to play flag football when I was a kid. So I know it's not the same. Don't come for me. But I know I know the structure. And I've watched Super Bowls since then, so I can understand it at this point. Um, the halftime show, Usher ate down. He surprised me with Caught Up first. That was not my guess at all, but it was good. I love that he gave the Vegasy vibe, the feathers, people, uh, doing flips and tricks when he first opens up. Um, my girl Alicia, I love you, Alicia. I really, really do. Um, I just think I do believe she can still sing. I think something is wrong with her voice. As in, like, I don't know if it has when people's like vocal injuries and stuff over the years. And I think that's the issue because her voice cracked multiple times during that performance, not just the first one. So whatever that looks like for her to, get her voice better if it's possible, or maybe it's not possible anymore. And I know she still enjoys singing, so she's not just gonna like not sing if he asks her to do Super Bowl, but um yeah, she cracked a few times and it sounded like her voice was in an unhealthy spot. So I'm not even gonna come for her like, oh girl, you can't sing. What's going on with you? No, it wasn't that. It's just like I think her voice is just in an unhealthy spot that she needs to get back into a healthy spot. If she wants to. That's up to you. I love you, Alicia, though. I really do. My boo. Yes. And then we continue on. We already knew Usher was going to give roller skates. We already knew. Loved that. Um my roller skates are collecting dust in my closet as we speak. But one day I'm gonna be rolling like Usher one day. And then we also we had Ludacris, we had Lil Jon who came up, and a lot of other random um people popping up through. We had Will I Am pop through. We also had Jermaine Dupri pop through, which I was surprised about. I thought a lot of people thought we were gonna get Bieber, but it just didn't happen that way, and that's perfectly fine. Bieber didn't want to do it, and that's okay. Um, it's totally up to him. One day we'll see a Bieber Super Bowl whenever he's ready. But I love the performance overall. I had a feeling Usher was gonna like bring a lot of people out. That's just kind of the vibe that he gives, like bringing people on, performing with other people. I didn't think it was gonna be a solo performance, so I'm glad he did that. It felt very much like a party. I had fun. I actually was a little disappointed because I wanted more. Like it wasn't long enough for me. And I remember you tell me if you saw this for peeps who are also on the internet. I remember seeing that his was going to be the longest Super Bowl performance with 15 minutes on the clock. I was like, ooh, we're getting an extra like 3 minutes. This is going to be great. His performance was still 12. So I'm just saying we could have, I don't know if they made him cut some down because, maybe they knew they were going to go into overtime, things like that. But I would have loved to hear some more. It was probably already pre-cut. Or maybe whoever said that, it was not the truth. I don't know. But I would have loved to have a few more songs in there. But I love all of his song choices that he gave. I was completely incorrect about his opening and his closing. And yeah, I thought he was gonna do like the usually people tend to close with a slower song sometimes for the Super Bowl. And he did not do that. And I love that he was switching it up. He ended on his most hype song that people were waiting for actually. On top of the Super Bowl, we had the commercials. The biggest commercial that happened for me, is the Beyonce Verizon commercial. First of all, they were hinting it out before the Super Bowl happened. I didn't think Beyonce would actually be in it because, as y'all know, or Beyonce hasn't been in a commercial since I don't know when. Beyonce don't be out here like that. She is in her own world at her own time. She doesn't do interviews anymore. Nothing. Late night talk shows, etc. Like she is very rarely out and about. As of right now, though, that is not the case. She has been out and about ever since the Super Bowl. But yeah, it was fun to watch. I was like, she's speaking on TV. I was like, oh, okay. She's cracking jokes, giving it personality. Because sometimes I think we also forget, like, because she doesn't really show it as much anymore because she's not out and about. But obviously, she has a personality. She shows it. She showed it on her tour, of course. I did not go. I didn't have the money for that. But it was fun to watch the commercial. And then she drops two songs. They came later. And I feel like they were supposed to, because it said drop the new music, and the new music came later. Because I did check, I checked for the music, I checked online, and the music was not there. And then eventually, the music was there. I will say I'm excited for this. I'm not a huge country girl, but if there's a country song that pops up on the charts and I listen to it and I like it, I'm a vibe. So I was all about, I was a Hunter Hayes girl. When I was younger, I love Wanted by Hunter Hayes. That was a great one. It was beautiful. There was another one. Dun, 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 good enough. Can't sleep without your love. Something like that. I can't remember the lyrics for that, but that was a fun one too. So pretty. And then of course, we had Lady Antebellum, but we don't really talk about them that much. I don't really talk about them that much anymore either. But specifically me, just because the way they did that black woman, who I'm gonna call her by her name, Lady A. And then Lady Antebellum was like, no, we need that name now because it's 2020 and this is the time period where we're trying to be woke. These are quotation marks here. And then they took that name from her. So they want to be called Lady A, but they are not Lady A. She's Lady A. And they're Lady Antebellum. And it is what it is. That's the name you chose. You can't decide to reverse and recall and then take it from a black woman. I feel like that reverses the whole entire purpose of you doing it in the first place. But that's a whole other conversation. But at a point, they had some good songs as well too. So I'm excited for Beyonce and putting in country. I'm interested to see how the world receives her. We've already seen some ways of how that's happening right now. I'm interested to see the way, once again, award shows, the CMAs receives her when she drops these songs. She has hit the charts though, with 16 Carriages and Texas Hold'em. And because of that as well, she has also had other Black women country artists rise in their streams, their recognition. And so that's also really beautiful to see. My favorite, I love 16 Carriages, but I can't listen to it often. And the reason being is it hurts too much. 16 Carriages is one of those songs that it has a deeper meaning. And, I see people all the time like, what are the carriages, all that stuff like that. As the eldest daughter, I felt that it hurts too much, but it's a beautiful song. I really like it. I really enjoy it. Texas Hold'em's a fun one. I see people trying to figure out what the line dancing is going to be. I would love to see it. I'm fully invested. I don't consider myself to be a like in the beehive. It's not that intense for me. I mean, I just told you I didn't go to the Renaissance tour. I'm not gonna cough up my money when I don't have it. But I would love to see how this all rolls out. We saw how Act 1 hinted at Act 2. And I'm trying to look at the pieces, see how Act 2 hints at Act 3. And I feel like I agree with people in the sense that it might be a rock album. That's going to be a fun one. We've already seen that before. What you said, Let It Be's very rock from Lemonade. And I think that's going to be a fun time because we saw how, was it Renee? They call the horse Renee. Renee has retired and now, she's on motorcycles and stuff now. And that's very hinty at the rock scene of it all. Some people are theorizing it might be jazz, which is true because she did have a jazz moment in her Verizon commercial, and I think those vocals that they use are actually from one of her songs that we have not heard yet. So it's very possible. Who's to say? It could be a blend of those. I don't know how you would label that as an album, but could be a blend of rock and jazz. So who's to say? I don't know. But that was a fun time. It was a fun time to just see people like experiencing that on the internet during Super Bowl. And I don't think at all she took away from Usher's experience. Usher stands alone as his own person, and he shines high enough. We saw them both trending at the same time. Um, I feel like equally, and I think that was perfectly fine. I know some people were kind of mad at that, but I think he stands on his own. I think by saying that kind of diminishes his work and what he's done. Um, he's bigger than that to be kind of washed down. She knew. I feel like she wouldn't have necessarily done that if it was someone different. It depends though. But obviously, like if you're big enough during the Super Bowl, you should be fine. You know what I'm saying? Um, with that being said, I will say there's a lot of people dropping music this year. And so I am a little nervy of what that award season will look like um next year. Um it's going to be a battle of the charts this year alone. So many people in March are dropping, and it's interesting because we have Ari, we have Beyonce. Um I think is Casey Musgraves dropping? Speaking of country, I want to say I can't exactly pin down everybody in March, but people are just dropping this year alone. We do have more SZA. She dropped Saturn, which is a really pretty song. She also performed it um, as like a commercial Grammys performance, so that was really pretty. Um, but on top of that, Normani's finally dropping. I'm excited for that. Now, here's the thing though, I'm gonna say it. We've had such a wait. It has to be good. Like the majority of it has to be good. So, and I don't doubt it at all because when she does drop those singles, I've always enjoyed them. People didn't like Fair, and I actually really enjoyed Fair, but people were like, nah, I liked Fair. Just saying. But it's been such a wait and such a push and pull of I'm dropping it, I'm not dropping it, that it does need to be like a solid piece of work. So I wish that for her. Um, considering how the world works, I don't want that to be the I don't want her to receive the opposite response. Um, if it's not enough for them, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, we're getting Normani. I said we're getting SZA, Beyonce, Ari. We're getting Casey sometimes here. Um, and the list keeps going on. To be honest, I'm kind of going blank, but it's just because like there's just so many people this year. I do want to put a random note though. Now that the Super Bowl is over this year, my brain already started thinking about who's going to come next year. I think it's Miley's time. I think Miley Cyrus to do the Super Bowl for 2024, and I think she would eat down. Because speaking of her Grammys performance was really fun, and she was having a blast, and she deserves it. Matter of fact, the fact that that was her first Grammy is kind of crazy to me. She didn't win a Grammy for The Climb. She didn't win a Grammy for When I Look at You. What? There's so many options there. But yeah, that's my vote. Tell me, who do you think should be Super Bowl performer for 2024? And also let me know, like, who are you excited to see release music this year? Because on top of that, we also have a lot of like fun movies coming out. And that'll be a different topic for a different episode, but I don't know. Let me know because I'm excited for everybody. It's just a lot. I feel like last year was really empty at this time of the year. I remember I was like, there's not really a lot of music out right now. Playlists are kind of empty, and then everybody's dropping like the start of March, and it just keeps going from there. So yeah. Also of course Meg is dropping, but I don't think it's in March though. I could be wrong though. It could be in March, but that's another thing. Um, let's talk about the thing that just happened recently. If you are on TikTok, there is this TikToker by the name of Risa Tisa. Risa Tisa, I am so glad you're going on your trip, and I'm so glad it's getting paid for. I just want to say this. Second of all, let me give you a little breakdown. I'm not going to give you everything because you should go watch it, give her some views. It is a 52-part series. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the Risa Tisa Who TF Did I Marry? I don't curse. So, who TF did I marry? When I tell you I saw it trending, it was kind of starting. She dropped it. I caught up on it on day 3 of when it started popping up on my For You page. And it took me like, I started it that day in the afternoon and I finished it the next day. Um when I tell you I was shook every time, and once again, and people say this too, and I'm going to say it as well, it's not even just the fact of what she went through in her story, it's how she told it. Um, what I personally can't stand is when people are like, part one of this, and then you go to it, and then there's no part two or part three, and they posted that part one like 2 or 3 days ago. Give me the rest. Where is it at? Or else I'm that's where I think when people say, "Oh, people's attention spans are lost," no, I don't think they're lost because people are able to sit and watch the 10-minute episodes of a 52-part series. It's the fact that people aren't consistent enough, um, and it's TikTok. It's not a television series. So no, we're not gonna wait 7 days for you to drop a 5-minute part two. Like no, you need to drop the rest. So Risa Tisa did her job. She dropped all 52 parts in a span. I want to say 2-3 days. Correct me if I'm wrong, people, because once again I watched it after all of them were out at that point. Um, but she was at least dropping 10 per chunk. Like you just had to keep refreshing to get the part two, the part three, because she was bam bam record. Let me drop this one. Let me record the next one. But for Risa Tisa, basically, she ended up with this man named Legion. And what was wild at first was one, she was like, "Oh, we had a date. My tire blew out. Had to call him, say, hey, my tire, I don't know what to do." He came, he helped, he paid for a tire replacement or things like that. And then that was okay. So he's paying for stuff on the first date. Cute. She's like, uh-huh. And then a few weeks later, this is during COVID times, so COVID has hit. And they're like, "Oh, we're gonna move in together." What? You just met this man. So then they move in together. So that's why I'm in. I'm already in. I don't even know the rest, you know? And then, down the line, she ends up pregnant, not too far after that. But throughout all of this, he is lying through everything. Lying through his teeth, his eyeballs, his nose, his ears. he was a VP of a condiment company. He was he said at some point, he had decided to resign. Man, ended up being he wasn't even a VP of the condiment company. He was telling her, "Well, yeah, let's go ahead and get a house." They're trying to find a house together. He's saying he got the money because he's a VP. He's supposedly has bank, and he's putting her through loops and hoops with all of these unnecessary lies. He don't got no money. One house falls through after another. A whole year later, they still don't got a house. Tries to get her a car. Here is the tea on this one. I can't believe it. Because everything was so unnecessary. Like, he didn't have to put her through that. Like, he just lied to have fun. Because tell me why he was like, you know what? Let's get you a car. I want to get you a car. He can't afford it, by the way. No, BMW. Let's do this. We'll ride this. Okay, cool. He's like, "Oh yeah, the car." He said, "We're gonna get delivered the car." She said, "Well, I'm not, I can't get the car delivered today." He's like, "Okay, well, we'll deliver it this day." She was like, "Okay, I'll take off work. I'll wait for it." She takes off work to wait for this vehicle. He says it's getting dropped off at what is it, like 1 o'clock or something like that. Mind you, all lies, unnecessary lies. He's going through test drives with her, all this stuff, knowing he's not getting her that car. Knowing he's not getting her that car. Car never comes. She took off work. Car never comes. She's like, "Why? Where's the car?" He's making other lies, other excuses. That's just one story. There's so many. He over here taking her to his supposed, it wasn't his supposed grandmother's grave. Mind you, he works there. He works at the graveyard, but he's still supposedly a VP. That's the graveyard he work at. It was so like, but what the turnaround of it all, the beautiful thing of it all was that Risa Tisa shared her story. It was a way to also give herself like relief of that time period, because it was a long time period of her life. It was from March 2020 to, I think she finally let him go 2021 of August or June during summer, June. She was still dealing with a lot the aftermath afterwards, but it was somewhere in that summer of 2021. And so she was able to tell her story, be it give a warning sign for other people, of just she knew there were a lot of red flags, but she understood that she was in a place of just really wanting certain things like marriage and family, and um she kind of was willing to ignore the red flags in order to kind of get those things. He was paying for stuff, and it just felt, you know, smooth for her in the sense that she didn't have to pay for things. Um, and he was given the vibe of "I'll treat you right," but obviously he wasn't. Um, but I'm so happy that the world has kind of like come together in a way. Hey Risa, we're this company, we're gonna pay for this, or hey Risa, we're this company, we're gonna pay for that. She's probably gonna get that BMW that she never got. She another one, he said he was gonna give her a trip. That never happened. So she's definitely she did say she's going to London and Paris, and I'm so excited for her. I hope, I haven't seen if there's update on that. She said, I'm probably not gonna do first class. No girl. Somebody pay for her to go first class. She deserves it. She deserves it all. The full shebang. But if you have not watched the series, I definitely suggest you do. It's Risa Tisa on TikTok. Um, it's wild. And the way she tells these stories, like what I told you is not even 50%, not even 30% of all the things she had to go through. But it is such a good warning sign. Now I'm seeing people like, now I gotta make sure I do full background checks before I start dating people, because the world is just wild. Um the world is a wild place, and you just gotta be on your P's and Q's. You gotta be on your P's and Q's. You gotta stay on your toes. That's all. But on top of that, Love Is Blind has also started, and so that was happening at the same time, and so just the trust in men alone has fallen apart. Not that I was there 100% anyways. The foundation was a little faulty. You know what I'm saying? But with Love Is Blind on top of the Who TF Did I Marry? Yeah, it's looking real bad out there. Okay. There will be a Love Is Blind recap in the future. The series is not done yet though, so I'm just waiting to see how it unfolds. But if you're watching Love Is Blind right now, please message me, put in the Spotify Q&A section, like, what are you thinking right now as well, because there are some interesting people this season. At a certain point, Love Is Blind needs to do some kind of like secret posting, because it's very obvious that people are coming on here now just to be seen and get some form of celebrityism. And I don't think that's the best way to go, because now you're just playing with people's feelings, because there's people actually on Love Is Blind who are coming for the right reasons. Um, but yeah, it's looking very obvious now in season 6. So they're going to have to do something that isn't come and be on Love Is Blind season 7. Like, no, it's gotta be something else. And knowing how fast their rollout is, they probably already done with season 7. But in the future, whatever that season is next that they need to look out for, they should do that. But yeah, that has been January and February alone. If I missed anything, which I know I did, I can't talk about every single thing, but feel free to drop it to me, and maybe we can talk about it in the future. Um, but while the year is already off to an interesting start, I'm hopeful once again for changes. I'm hopeful for just different avenues and in general, and then also in my personal life. There's times when life doesn't feel very hopeful, and there's times that it does. And I think that's why I also kind of like stick my time sometimes to social media, because sometimes you do need those laughs. Sometimes you do need those forms of escapism, to just kind of exit from real world for a second. And so I hope that once again, your 2024 is off to a great start. And if it's not, I hope that you find a place that you can get there, right? And I hope that it goes into a great start, or goes into a great continuation, or a great ending. But yeah, I'm so excited for season 2 of the Introvert Social Hour, and there will be guests same guests, different guests. And I'm excited for that. Some of your faves are returning, and then some of your new faves that you haven't met yet. Different topics and just fun times, TVs, movies, books, life, general things. And there's just so much more to come. And thank you so much for supporting as always. I appreciate you. I found out that I'm apparently global. So if you're listening somewhere outside of the United States, thank you for listening so much. And, contact me. Let me know how did you end up finding the Introvert Social Hour? And please keep sharing. I would love to get to more views. And please comment, interact with this podcast. So once again, thank you for listening to the Introvert Social Hour. Send it to a friend, a family member, a loved one. Follow me at Kavana on Instagram and at the Introvert Social Hour on TikTok. I am on TikTok. Okay. You're going to get these podcast updates from one of those two accounts. And then go ahead and get some sunshine, get some air. Have an amazing week. And I will see you next week on the Introvert Social Hour. Thanks for joining. Bye.